Part 1, The Rescue on Zeta 9. The black smoke of war covered the sky above planet Zeta 9. Once a peaceful outpost, Zeta 9 had become a battlefield between invading machines and the scattered survivors of the United Earth Fleet. Buildings lay broken. Fire burned without control. Screams filled the air, some human, some not. Among the rubble, a lone human soldier crawled behind a shattered wall. His name was Jason Hale, a former pilot and engineer. He had crashed here 2 days ago when his dropship was shot down. His squad was gone, food was gone, ammo almost gone. His leg badly injured. Jason coughed, tasting blood. The drones were getting closer. He could hear the sharp humming of their hover units. These were Ravagers, alien-built war machines. Their creators were long dead, but the machines kept fighting, killing anything alive. Jason had no hope left. He clutched his last plasma knife and whispered, "Come on, then." But before the drone rounded the corner, something strange happened. A blinding blue light exploded in the air above the street. Jason flinched, expecting pain, but it was not a weapon blast. It was a jump beacon, and from it, a small, sleek pod dropped fast. The pod hit the ground with a thud, smoke hissing from its back. Out of it stepped someone. A girl. Not human, but close. She had smooth silver skin, glowing teal eyes, and long white hair tied in a braid. Her bodysuit bore a strange glowing crest like a blooming star. She looked young, maybe his age, and she didn't come to fight. She came to save him. The girl looked around fast, eyes scanning the area. She spotted Jason, saw his injury, and ran to him. "You are injured," she said, kneeling beside him. Her voice was calm with a strange musical accent. Jason blinked. Who are you?" "My name is Alari," she replied. "I am from the Corellian remnant." He stared at her. "I thought your kind avoided humans." Alari nodded slightly. "We did. Until now." Before he could ask more, a screech cut through the air. A Ravager spotted them. Its red eye glowed. Metal limbs moved fast. A blaster arm pointed straight at Jason. Alari stood quickly. "Stay down." She touched the side of her head and whispered something in her language. Then, she ran, straight toward the broken shell of a combat drone lying nearby. It was one of the neutral drones, not from either side. Jason struggled to rise. "What are you doing?" Alari opened the drone's chest panel, pulled a glowing vial from her suit, and injected it into the drone's control core. Her body stiffened as light spread from the core to her skin. Then she fell to the ground like a puppet cut from its strings. Jason screamed, "No!" But then the combat drone rose. Its eyes turned from dead white to glowing teal. It turned its head, cracked its metal neck, and faced the Ravager. Jason's mouth dropped open. She's inside it?" The drone moved like no normal machine. It was faster, smarter. It dodged the Ravager's blasts and responded with quick, deadly, for the two machines fought like titans, metal clashing, sparks flying. Alari, now inside the combat drone, used every ounce of control to beat the Ravager back. After minutes of brutal battle, the Ravager was finally crushed beneath the drone's fists. Oil and parts sprayed across the cracked pavement. The drone turned around and walked to Jason. It knelt. Her voice came from inside the drone, soft and electronic. "You are safe." Jason stared at her, still in shock. Why did you do that?" "I was told, humans do not leave their own behind. I wanted to understand." Jason shook his head. "But you risked your life." "I gave it," she replied. "Now I am no longer Corellian. I am something else." Jason looked down at her real body, still lying still by the broken wall. He whispered, "You saved me." The drone nodded once. Then the sound of more Ravagers echoed through the streets. The battle wasn't over. Jason gritted his teeth, stood, with her help, and grabbed a weapon. Side by side, man and machine, soul and steel, they prepared to fight again, together. The sky above Zeta 9 was black with smoke. The ground shook from explosions. Fires burned in the distance. Once, this planet was peaceful. Now, it was a war zone. Broken buildings stood like dead trees. The wind carried the smell of ash and metal. Screams echoed from far away. Some were human. Some were not. Jason Hale, a young human soldier, lay hidden behind a broken wall. Blood ran down his leg. His uniform was torn. His face was dirty and his eyes were full of pain. 2 days ago, his dropship had crashed during a mission. Everyone else in his team was dead. He had no food left. His water was gone. His only weapon was a small plasma knife. Jason knew he wouldn't survive much longer. The enemy was near. They were machines called Ravagers. These robots were not built by any living race. Their creators had died long ago. But the Ravagers kept fighting. They had one goal: destroy all life. Jason could hear the sound of one coming. A deep hum filled the air. It was close. He held his knife tightly and whispered, "Come on, I'm ready." But then something strange happened. A bright blue light appeared in the sky. It was not a weapon. It was a jump beacon, a way to travel through space quickly. A small pod came flying through the light and crashed nearby. Smoke hissed from its engines. The pod opened with a soft click. Jason pulled himself up to look. What he saw shocked him. A girl stepped out. Not a human girl, an alien. She had smooth silver skin that shimmered in the light. Her long white hair was tied in a braid. Her eyes glowed a soft teal color. She wore a black suit with glowing lines. A symbol on her chest looked like a star. She looked young, maybe his age, and she was beautiful. The alien girl looked around quickly. Then her eyes locked on Jason. She ran to him and knelt beside him. "You are injured," she said in a calm, soft voice. Her accent was musical. Jason blinked. Who are you?" "My name is Ilari," she answered. "I am from the Corellian remnant." Jason had heard of the Corellians. They were an advanced race. Most of them stayed away from humans. They watched but never helped. "Why are you here?" he asked, still shocked. "To help," she said. "You are in danger." Before Jason could say more, a loud screech filled the air. A Ravager drone came around the corner. It was tall and deadly, with sharp metal arms and a glowing red eye. It pointed its blaster at Jason. Ilari stood quickly. "Stay down!" She ran toward a damaged combat drone nearby. It was an old model not working. Jason had seen it before. He thought it was junk. Ilari opened a panel on the drone's chest. She pulled out a glowing vial from her suit. Without hesitation, she injected it into the drone's core. Then she whispered something in her own language. Light spread through the drone's circuits. Ilari's body stiffened. Her eyes went wide. Then she collapsed beside the machine. Jason cried out, "No!" But then something unbelievable happened. The drone stood up. Its eyes glowed teal, the same color as Ilari's. It turned its head and looked at Jason. Then it looked at the Ravager. The two machines ran at each other. The battle was fast and brutal. Ilari, now inside the drone, fought with power and speed. The Ravager shot at her, but she dodged. She hit back with punches, kicks, and blasts. Sparks flew everywhere. Metal pieces broke off. The sound of war returned, louder than ever. Jason watched with wide eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. She had merged her mind with the drone. She was fighting for him. Finally, Ilari crushed the Ravager's head. The enemy fell, broken and still. The combat drone turned and walked back to Jason. It knelt in front of him. A soft voice came from inside the machine. "You are safe now." Jason looked at her. You're in there?" "Yes," she replied. "I had no choice." He looked at her real body, lying still nearby. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you do this?" "I wanted to understand why humans risk their lives for others," she said. "Now I do." But you didn't even know me. A pause. I do now. Jason didn't know what to say. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. Then, more sounds came. More Ravagers. They were close. Jason stood slowly, using the drone for support. He picked up a blaster from the ground. His leg hurt, but he would fight. Ilari, still inside the combat drone, stood tall beside him. "Are you ready?" she asked. Jason gave a weak smile. "Not really, but let's do this anyway." Together they faced the road ahead. More enemies were coming, but they were no longer alone. Now they were a team, a human and an alien, a heart and a machine. And the fight was just beginning. Inside the resistance camp on Zeta 9, the air was tense. The walls buzzed with quiet voices and soft machines. Jason sat in the medical bay, his injured leg finally wrapped and treated, but he wasn't resting. His eyes were fixed on the glowing, Corellian core sitting inside a container near the repair table. That core wasn't just a machine. It was Ilari, the alien girl who had risked everything for him. The engineers worked fast, checking every cable and circuit of the damaged combat drone. Its armor was bent, its limbs torn, but the core inside still pulsed with soft teal light. It meant Ilari was still alive, barely. Jason stood up slowly, limping toward the repair bay. The chief engineer, a calm man named Bren, looked up. "Any update?" Jason asked. Bren scratched his short beard. "We've stabilized her mind core. But there's a problem." Jason's heart sank. "What kind of problem?" "She used an old Terran drone model," Bren explained. "That body won't hold her for long. The energy matrix is failing. It wasn't built for this kind of integration. Can't we repair it?" "Not fully," Bren said. "She needs a new host body, or her mind will break apart." Jason looked at the blinking lights. "What kind of body?" Bren hesitated. "We have a few military drones in storage, newer ones, better processors. But once we transfer her, there's a risk. She may not survive the move." Jason's chest tightened. "But if we do nothing, she'll fade in hours." Jason looked at the glowing core again. He remembered her voice, her bravery, how she'd saved him when no one else would. His hands formed tight fists. "Then we try," he said. Bren nodded. "We'll begin the transfer soon. You should say something before we start." Jason stepped closer to the container. He spoke softly. "Ilari, you probably can't hear me, but I want you to know, thank you. You didn't have to save me, but you did. And I'm not going to let you fade. You're not just a program, you're real, you're my friend." He paused. "And I'll be right here." The transfer began. 2 engineers stood over the table, carefully connecting wires. The new drone body, a sleek black model with silver arms, was ready. They removed the glowing vial from the broken shell and placed it into the new one. The lights dimmed for a moment. Silence. Then a small sound, a soft hum. The new drone's eyes blinked on. The same teal glow returned. Jason held his breath. Then, a voice came from the speaker, weaker than before, but still hers. "Jason." He smiled wide. "You made it." The drone sat up slowly. Its movements were stiff at first. She looked down at her new hands, then up at him. "I am different," she said. "You're still you," he said. "That's what matters." Bren walked over. "The transfer worked, but listen. We had to erase the drone's old combat software to make room for her mind. That means no auto-defense, no targeting help." Jason frowned. "So she can't fight?" "She can," Bren said. "But it'll be all her. No backup systems." Ilari spoke again. "That is acceptable." Jason turned to her. "You don't have to fight anymore." "I do," she said. "You are still in danger. And I am part of this war now." Jason nodded slowly. A strange feeling was growing inside him. He didn't just see her as an ally anymore. He trusted her more than anyone. That night, alarms screamed through the base. Jason jumped from his bed. "What's happening?" A soldier ran by. "Ravager swarm, coming fast." Jason limped to the command center. The screen showed a group of enemy drones heading straight toward the camp, maybe 50, maybe more. Commander Rel barked orders. "Defensive turrets up! Everyone to battle positions!" Jason grabbed a blaster and ran outside. Alari joined him, her new drone body ready. She looked stronger than before, but her eyes still held the same calm light. "I will protect you," she said. "No," Jason replied. "We protect each other." The Ravagers came in waves, red eyes glowing, metal legs pounding the ground. The sky lit up with lasers and explosions. Jason fired from behind cover, taking down 2 enemy drones. Alari moved like lightning, dodging. Blasts striking with clean, powerful hits. Her new body wasn't perfect, but her mind was sharp. She adapted quickly, but the enemy kept coming. A giant Ravager tank unit rolled into view, its cannon charging. Jason saw it too late. It fired. The blast hit the ground beside him. He flew back and landed hard. Pain shot through his chest. He couldn't breathe. "Alari!" he gasped. She turned and saw him lying still. Then something changed in her. She didn't hesitate. She ran through the fire, dodging blasts, pushing aside drones. She reached him, lifted him with one arm, and shielded him with her body. The enemy tank charged again. Alari looked at the weapon and ran straight toward it. She jumped, landed on top of the tank, and shoved her arm into the core. She used her own energy, overloading it. The tank exploded in a massive blast. Flames rose high. Silence followed. Jason lay still in the dirt. Around him the battle slowly ended. The resistance had won. But he didn't see Alari. He crawled forward, eyes wide. The burned wreck of the tank lay smoking. Metal pieces everywhere. Then he saw it. Her hand, reaching from the wreckage. Still, moving. He rushed to her side. Her drone body was badly damaged, one eye flickering. "You did it," he whispered. Her voice came, soft and tired. "You are safe." Jason took her hand. "Don't ever do that again." "I would," she said. "For you." He smiled through the pain. Then he said something he never expected. "I'm glad you found me." Jason sat beside Alari in the repair chamber. The walls were quiet now. The battle was over and the smoke had cleared. Engineers moved around, checking wires and cooling units. But Jason only cared about one thing, Alari. She lay on a repair bench, her new drone body cracked and blackened. Her right arm was missing and sparks still came from the side of her neck. But her eyes, soft teal lights, were still glowing. She was alive. "How bad is it?" Jason asked Bren, the chief engineer. Bren wiped sweat from his forehead. She took a direct blast. "Most systems are offline, but her core is still stable. We can fix her, but we'll need time. And energy cells, the special kind." Jason looked down. "Where do we get those?" Bren sighed. "There's only one place nearby, an old Corellian outpost deep in the ruined mountains. It was abandoned years ago. But if anything still works, it'll be there." Jason stood. "Then I'll go." Bren raised an eyebrow. "Alone?" Jason looked at Alari. "She came for me. Now it's my turn." Before Bren could argue, Alari's voice spoke, weak but clear. "Jason." He leaned in. "I'm here. You will need a guide. There are secrets in that outpost. Hidden doors. Corellian tech. You won't get far without help." Jason nodded. "Then tell me what I need to know." Alari closed her eyes, sending a data stream through the repair table. A hologram blinked to life. It showed a tall mountain, broken towers, and red clouds above. One path led through the rocks to a large gate. "This place was once called Velsoon," she said. "A research lab. My home. Before the war." Jason's eyes widened. "You lived there?" "Yes. I was created there." Jason was silent for a moment. Then he said gently, "Tell me." Alari hesitated, but then her voice grew steady. "I was not born like humans. I was grown in a crystal tank. My mind was shaped by Corellian scientists. They wanted to build the perfect soldier, but I was different. I didn't want to fight. I wanted to learn. I asked too many questions. That made them afraid. Jason listened carefully, so they locked my mind in a lab. They said I was defective, but one scientist, an old one named Senmar, helped me escape. He told me, "You are not just a weapon, you are a person. One day you will choose your own path." Jason touched her hand gently. "And you chose to save me." "Yes," she whispered. There was a long silence between them. The only sound was the humming of machines. Then Jason stood tall. "I'll bring back what you need, I promise." 2 hours later, Jason stood at the edge of a broken path. The mountains of Velsoon loomed ahead, sharp and dark. The sky above was red with storm clouds. The wind howled through the rocks. In his backpack, he carried water, a blaster, and a small map sent from Elari. The journey was not easy. He climbed over collapsed bridges, crawled under fallen beams, and crossed sharp stones that tore at his boots. Strange machines lay rusted along the road, old walkers, broken flyers, and shattered drones. All of it was quiet now, like the world had been frozen in time. After hours of walking, Jason reached the gate. It was massive, made of black metal with glowing Corellian symbols across it. He touched the panel beside it. Nothing happened. He frowned. What now? He looked at the symbols again, remembering the words Elari once said. She told him Corellian language flowed like water, not like Earth's. He took a deep breath and placed his hand on the symbol that meant life. The gate shook. A hiss of steam rose. The doors opened slowly. Inside, the air smelled of metal and dust. Lights flickered in the ceiling. Jason walked carefully, his blaster ready. As he stepped deeper into the hall, he saw things that made him stop. Rows of empty pods, old control panels covered in dust, pictures on the walls, alien diagrams, sketches, of drone bodies and one face that looked familiar, Elari. She was younger in the image. No machine body, just her. Green skin, bright eyes, long hair. Jason stared. She was real, he whispered. She had a life. A beep echoed from the hallway. Jason turned fast. A single defense drone rolled toward him. Its eye glowed red. Jason fired once. The beam hit the drone's head and knocked it over. He kept moving. He found the energy vault near the core chamber. Inside were several silver containers glowing with blue light. "Energy cells," he said, smiling. As he packed them into his bag, something caught his eye, a small recording device. Curious, he touched the screen. It blinked on. A voice played, a soft, old one. "This is Senmar. Final message. If anyone hears this." Elari was not a mistake. She was hope. She felt. She dreamed. She deserved better. Jason listened closely. "I hid her core inside the lab's last drone frame. I only pray someone one day finds her and sees what I saw." The message ended. Jason's throat felt tight. She wasn't just built for war, he whispered. She was built to live. He grabbed the device and ran back. When Jason returned to the base, he was covered in dirt and sweat. But his eyes were full of fire. "I have it," he shouted. The team rushed in. Bren grabbed the energy cells and began the repair. It took time, hours of careful work, but finally Elari's systems lit up again. Her eye lights glowed fully. The damage was gone. Jason stood by her side. "You found Velsoon?" she asked. He nodded. "And a message from Senmar. He believed in you." Elari looked down. "I remember now. His voice, his kindness." Jason smiled. "And I believe in you too." Elari reached out her new arm, touching his hand gently. "Then let's finish this war," she said. "Together," he replied. The next morning, the sky over Zeta 9 was darker than usual. Heavy clouds hung low and distant thunder rolled across the hills. Jason stood outside the base, watching the wind move through the dry grass. His thoughts were not on the weather. They were on the coming war. Inside the base, Ilari was running a system check on her repaired drone body. The new energy cells Jason had found brought her back to full strength. Her movements were smoother now, her sensors sharper. But her thoughts were filled with something deeper, a feeling she couldn't explain. She walked into the command center, where Jason stood beside Commander Rel and the others. A large screen showed a map of the region. Red dots filled the upper right corner. "Enemy fleet," Rel said. "They're gathering in orbit. Big one too. Multiple carriers, dropships, and command cores. If they land, we're finished." "How long do we have?" Jason asked. "Less than 2 days." Ilari stepped closer. "We must strike first." Rel looked at her. "You have a plan?" She nodded. "There's an orbital cannon station on Ridge Point 7, abandoned but still functional. If we reach it and reprogram the cannon, we can target the enemy fleet before they enter the atmosphere." Jason's eyes lit up. "That could work. But the station is behind enemy lines," Rel said. "Getting there won't be easy." "I'll go," Jason said. Ilari turned to him. "Not alone." Rel looked between them, then gave a slow nod. "Fine. You two will go with a small team. Quiet. Fast. You leave in 1 hour." The team moved through the broken hills, walking carefully between rock formations and shattered ruins. Jason led the way, his blaster ready. Ilari moved beside him, scanning ahead with her sensors. Behind them were 2 resistance soldiers, Lena, a sharp-eyed sniper, and Marco, a calm and quiet engineer. They carried supplies and backup tools. As they reached the edge of a wide canyon, Ilari raised her hand. "Stop," Jason froze. "What is it?" "There's movement, Ravager scouts, 2 ahead." Lena crouched behind a rock and lifted her scope. "Confirmed, I see them, but they haven't seen us yet." Jason thought quickly. "We need to move around, quietly." The team followed a narrow side path along the canyon wall. The climb was slow and dangerous. Rocks shifted beneath their feet. Dust filled the air. Suddenly, one of the stones broke loose. Marco slipped, falling to his knee with a loud thud. The Ravager scouts turned. "They heard that," Ilari said. Jason raised his blaster. "Get ready." The enemy came fast, metal claws scraping the ground, eyes glowing red. Lena took the first shot. 1 Ravager dropped. Jason fired at the second, but it dodged and leaped forward. Ilari jumped in its path and slammed it with her arm. The drone crashed into the rocks and exploded. Smoke filled the canyon. The team moved fast, deeper into the hills. After an hour of climbing, they reached Ridge Point 7. The orbital cannon station stood tall on the mountain peak, covered in dust and vines. Its metal sides were rusted, but the main tower still glowed, with faint blue lights. "This is it," Ilari said. They entered the control room. Inside, old Corellian computers blinked slowly. The main cannon was offline, but not dead. Marco and Ilari began working on the control panel. Wires sparked as systems rebooted. Jason paced nearby, watching the sky. "How long until the enemy fleet enters orbit?" he asked. Ilari checked the system. "Less than 6 hours." Jason took a deep breath. "Then we hold this place until the cannon fires." Suddenly the base shook. An alarm rang. "Enemy dropships incoming," Lena shouted. "They found us." Jason looked at Ilari. "Can we activate the cannon before they reach us?" "I need time," she said. "Then we buy it for you." Outside the station, Jason, Lena, and Marco took defensive positions. The enemy dropships landed in the valley below, releasing waves of Ravagers. Red eyes filled the shadows. Jason fired from behind a wall, taking down one, then another. Lena picked off drones with clean shots from her sniper rifle. Marco used small mines to block the paths, but more kept coming. Inside, Ilari worked fast, typing commands into the system. Corellian code ran across the screen. Her hands moved with perfect speed. Power rerouted, cannon recharging, targeting system online. Suddenly, the door behind her shook. Ravagers had reached the entrance. Jason shouted through the comm, "They're breaking in." "I need 2 more minutes," Ilari replied. Jason ran back inside, gun blazing. He blocked the door with metal beams. Sparks flew as enemy claws scratched through the crack. "You okay?" he asked. "I am close," Ailari said. "Just a little longer." Jason stood by her side, watching the red warning signs on the screen. Outside, the storm had started. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, the enemy kept coming. Lena screamed over the comm. "We're surrounded." Jason turned to Ailari. "Can we fire now?" She paused. "The cannon is ready." Jason pointed to the screen. "Then do it." Ailari touched the final command. Far above the mountain, the orbital cannon moved. Its long barrel pointed toward the stars. A deep hum filled the air, then a flash, like a falling sun. The cannon fired. A blue beam shot into the sky, striking the enemy's lead carrier. Boom! The fleet shook. On the screen, ships turned and broke, apart. One by one they fell, burning through the clouds. Cheers rang out from the comms. "We did it!" Marco shouted. Jason looked at Ailari, but she wasn't smiling. Her screen flickered. "Ailari?" he said. She looked at him slowly. "The cannon. Used too much power. My core is draining." Jason's face went pale. "No. We just saved everyone. You can't go now." "I was built to protect," she said softly. "Now I've done it." Jason grabbed her shoulders. "No. You're more than that. You're not a machine." Her eyes blinked weakly. "I'm glad I met you," Jason's voice cracked. "Stay with me." She looked at him, then everything went dark. Silence filled the control room. Jason stood frozen, his hand still resting on Ailari's shoulders. Her lights had gone dark. The soft glow in her eyes was gone. Her systems were quiet. No humming, no voice, only stillness. "No," Jason whispered. His heart felt heavy. It didn't matter that her body was made of wires and metal. To him, she was more alive than anyone. She had laughed, she had learned, she had cared. And now, she was gone. Marco and Lena entered the room, their faces dirty and tired. Behind them, smoke rose from the valley. The enemy fleet had been destroyed. The battle was over. Humanity had won. But to Jason, it didn't feel like victory. Lena stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "She saved us all." Jason didn't speak. He just kept looking at Ailari. "I promised her," he finally said. "I promised I'd protect her too." Back at the base, cheers filled the halls. Screens showed the remains of the Ravager fleet, falling from the sky like dying stars. Soldiers hugged each other. Children danced in the streets of the refugee cities. For the first time in years, Earth's people felt hope. But Jason didn't join the celebrations. He walked into the repair chamber and placed Ailari's body on the table. Bren looked at him. "She's gone?" Jason nodded slowly. "Her core is empty. The cannon drained it." Bren crossed his arms. "She gave everything." Jason stared at her still face. "She gave too much." Bren glanced at the room's backup systems. Then, he stepped closer. "There might be a way." Jason turned sharply. "What?" "I've been studying her system for weeks. Her mind, the way she thinks. It's not just code. It's memory patterns and light. Her core may be empty, but her imprint might still exist. A shadow of her stored inside the neural data she left behind." Jason's heart jumped. "You mean she could still be in there?" Bren nodded. "It won't be easy. I'd have to build a new host body, one that matches her exact neural design, not a drone, something better, but it will take time, and we'll need something to help guide the restoration." Jason looked at the bag he still carried. Inside was the recording he found in Velsun, the message from Sen-Mar. He pulled it out and placed it next to Ailari's body. "Will this help?" Bren smiled. "It's a start." Days passed. Jason helped build the new core, working night and day beside Bren and the engineers. The new host body was lighter, smoother, and more advanced. It looked less like a combat drone and more like the person Ailari once described in her memories. Gentle features, strong arms, soft green skin made of adaptive nanometal. Every part was designed to make her feel like herself again. The hardest part was restoring her mind. Bren used the imprint left in her last body and matched it with the emotional data from the message Senmar had left behind. It was a slow, delicate process. One wrong connection and the whole mind structure could break. Jason barely slept. He stayed close, talking to the empty shell as if she could hear him. "I know you're still in there, Aylari," he whispered, once. "You're not just a machine, you're more, and I'll wait as long as it takes." Finally, after one long night, the lights blinked on. The room went silent. Jason stood frozen. Her eyes opened. The soft teal glow returned. She blinked slowly, looking around. Then her eyes landed on Jason. "Jason?" she said, her voice quiet. He stepped forward, his heart racing. "I'm here." She touched her chest. "I thought I was gone." Jason smiled, his eyes filled with tears. "You almost were, but you came back." Aylari looked at her new hands, her arms, her reflection in the silver wall. "This is different." Jason nodded. "It's you. Not just your systems. Your memories, your feelings, your dreams. We rebuilt all of it." She stepped forward, touching his face gently. "You saved me." Jason laughed softly. "Now we're even." For the first time in many days, he smiled truly, and so did she. Weeks later, peace had returned to the planet. The resistance, once small and broken, had become the leaders of a new alliance. People from all colonies joined to rebuild what was lost. Together they formed the Terran-Corellian Union, a symbol of hope and unity between species. Aylari became more than a hero. She became a legend, but she didn't want to be worshipped. She spent her time teaching others about peace, about understanding, and about how even the smallest choice could change a life. Jason stayed by her side. They traveled together, visiting broken cities, talking to survivors, and sharing the story of how one alien girl, meant to be a weapon, became something far greater. One evening they sat together on a high cliff, watching the stars. "Do you ever wonder?" Aylari asked. "What would have happened if I never injected myself into that drone?" Jason smiled. "I'd be dead, and the world might have fallen." She nodded, then looked at the sky. "I used to think I was just a tool," she said. "A machine to follow orders. But you showed me I could be more. You were always more," Jason replied. "You just needed someone to believe it." They sat in silence for a while. Then Aylari turned to him. "What do we do now?" Jason looked at the stars. "Now, we live. We help others. And we protect this peace." She smiled. "Together?" He took her hand. "Always." And above them, the stars shone brighter than ever before.